Hi, it's Robin. Alexei Eben, the creator of Hair Basic, which I previously covered, has created a new Commodore 64 game that uses a very different control scheme than any other C64 game I'm aware of. I got the game loaded here. Let's run it.
Another visitor. Stay well. Stay for a day.
Press play on tape to play.
How's that for an intro there? Okay, so I'll just grab the controller here. Yep. And let's start the game here. Stage 1, Lake Geneva. Get ready. Okay, so you're this kind of spaceship submarine, and your goal is to go through each lake and collect, what is it, algae specimens or something? And you see up at the top, there's a counter, 2 out of 5. So for the first level, you just have to get 5 samples. It seems the way to get a sample is to shoot a fish. Well, you like the controller? Yeah, okay, and at the end of each level is a chest. And we'll try there, we'll tag it. This nice explosion. Stage 1 completed. Press play to collect bonus. There we go, 100. Filled our oxygen or whatever. Oh, 500, yeah. And this minigame might remind you of Uridium. I think it's similar, but you can pick up extra oxygen or whatever your fuel is there. Okay, but yeah, the really thing, it's a really fun game with excellent music and excellent graphics. Thanks to Alexei for making it work so nicely on NTSC. It's beautiful. Wait, we'll try and get that chest again. There, okay. I don't know how loud my controller presses are going to be here. Probably shouldn't be talking while I press. Oh. Okay, but the big deal here is that this game, probably for the first time ever, instead of using a joystick or the keyboard or, whatever, it uses the Datassette for the controller. Oh, there. I was doing pretty good. Oh, yeah, stage 3, Atlantis. And, yeah, you press the play button to shoot. If you kind of double-click, then you drop a bomb. Oh, I didn't manage it there. And you don't click the play button all the way down. If you've ever used a C64 Datassette before, you probably know that when you press it all the way down, it actually locks, and that's not good because you need individual button presses. I actually found that if I hold down the stop button with one hand or one thumb, and then fire with the other one, that's kind of the best way because it avoids it locking. There we go, yeah. I'm doing pretty good. Stage 3 completed. Press play. Okay. Oh, I'm doing terribly on that. Lake Titicaca. I've heard of that. It's a good name. Okay, so now by level 4, we're up to 30 required to get through the level. So yeah, if you thought the Atari Jaguar was a cumbersome controller, or what other controllers do people complain about? The Dreamcast or the original Xbox? Oh. Okay, last ship. The furthest I've ever gotten is stage 5, so this is a pretty good run. Aw, okay. Well, that was a pretty good game. Yeah, I don't think that the Datassette is like the best game controller around for the last, 42 years of C64 gaming. We haven't been missing a lot, but maybe some games actually could have used this, instead of a joystick, which maybe, is an extra accessory. You may have already owned a Datassette. I don't know. Well, I guess there's always the keyboard, but what's the fun in that? Okay, so there's a few other elements here that we should look at in this game. I'm just going to move the 64 here. Okay, so this game, besides just the play button gimmick, it actually has another kind of practical purpose for the dataset that also maybe has never been done in a C64 game before. And that is that the dataset is used kind of as a haptic feedback. And you're probably familiar with modern game controllers that buzz and shake while you're using them. Well, hey, the dataset has a motor in it too. So why not? Okay, so here we'll start a game. We'll see if we can get this to go. So if we get into those weeds, now those weeds don't kill you, but they drag you down. Yeah, I can feel the dataset kind of buzzing in my hands. It's not huge. I mean, it's not as much as a game that would deliberately have one of those rumble things in it or whatever. Oh. To make it more noticeable, I was experimenting with different pieces of Lego, and this particular weird one, these little holes in it, oh, it's like a little alien face there. Those tiny little holes on the end there. So what happens is when the motor's turned on, it's turning on the motor that's under here that turns this capstan roller. So I'm not necessarily recommending everybody does this, but okay, so I just kind of hang this Lego piece on top of that, on top of the capstan there. Okay, there. And now I'm going to put it down close to the microphone. I'll try and be quiet, and hopefully this will pick it up. I may have to just play with it in post. I'm going to deliberately fly into some of that, or float or whatever, into the seaweed. Okay, did you hear that better? That's pretty noticeable here in person. Oh. And also when you crash and when there's explosions, then that also triggers the haptics. There we go. That was a pretty good run there. Okay, so that's a neat little addition. And kind of a practical use of the data set, even if it's, you know, I mean, it's all just kind of for fun. Oh, come on, one more time. Oh. Oh. Oh yeah, and pressing the button also makes you dive. I don't think I mentioned that yet. Although I guess it's pretty obvious. And getting that boot refills your B, whatever your B is. Your boot. Boot power. Okay, one more try for that bonus. Come on, come on, come on. Oh! Okay, I actually did do it on camera earlier. Well, just the capture of it. So I'll play that now just to see, just to show you that it is possible. Kind of got in the zone there for a while. It was doing really good. Okay, so this game is being released at Zoo Party 2024, which is a C64 demo party in Finland from November 1st to 3rd. Games in the competition can go into public beta testing on October 28, 2024, which is hopefully the same day I release this video publicly. So the game is available for free download, and it will also have a limited physical release on cassette. Check the video description for the URL. So I absolutely love the music in this game. And even the graphics, it almost looks like there's more than 16 colors being used here. I don't know if Alexi did those mixed graphics. Like, look at those fish. They're so nice. So many colors for people who say the... for all those Spectrum users that say the the C64 output 16 shades of brown. Well, look at that. I don't see any brown there. So also include on the disk, just to talk about the music more, is a file called Aquarius Music. We'll start that up. This is the D64 image that Alexi provided to me. I assume these files will be available for download as well. If not, well, I'm special. Okay, so we can see here that this is all the music, and Alexi's quite a music fan himself and also an excellent musician. So we have here the title music, and you can just press the key. This is the Aquarius Music and Sound Effects box. So here's the title music that we've already heard, and it's based on the song Wave, which is a jazz standard by Antonio Carlos Jobim. Now pressing F3 is the tape loader song, which is Fly Me to the Moon, also a jazz standard. And that's been covered by so many. You probably have heard the Frank Sinatra version, but it's a song that's been covered by, I think, hundreds of musicians. Originally by Bart Howard. And then F5 is In-Game Music 1, which is for stages 1 through 7, called Under the Sea, covered and by Alan Menken. Now that's all I've heard. I haven't heard the final track, and I'm not going to spoil it because I'm going to keep playing this game until I get to stage 8 on my own, which I'm guessing is like a boss fight or something, given that it's like the last level. Or it looks like it from here. I actually don't know that. And see if it's another lake or if it's something else. So anyway, I'm not going to spoil that, but that is there. So fantastic music. Oh, and I want to mention that you see how it says in-game music for F5, in-game music 1, 2 channel. That's saying that like the SID has 3 channels, 2 are being used by the song, and that leaves 1 free for sound effects in the game, which is kind of like ideal, I think, for C64 games. And an excellent musician like Alexi and, you know, many of the other famous ones from the past can make a song with 2 channels sound like 4 or 5 channels when done right. Like this song, to me, doesn't sound like only 2 channels, for sure. So that's a neat little game development trick that many C64 games do. Here on this disk, there's an extra file called Aquarius Tapepad. So let's load that up. Okay, and there's an image, a C64ized version. Limited edition Aquarius on tape available now for €10 plus 10 shipping. And there's Lexi's details for contacting him. So that's a really cool little addition that he put on this disk image. Lexi actually mentioned that if you get the first edition, he says he's going to send me one, but it hasn't arrived yet. They're just made. So right inside the instructions in the cassette inlay, it says, maneuver your space vessel Aquarius Cala and explore the lakes around the world. Well, that maneuver is not spelt right in any variation of English that I'm aware of. Certainly not the US one, but not even the Canadian, UK one where we like to use a lot of OUs. Maneuver, yeah, I don't even know. I'll put the correct spelling on the screen. It has like an E and an extra E in there or something. Yeah, funny. And one other file included on the disk is this Aquarius Plus 8. And this is pretty funny. This is like a pre-cracked and trained version of the game. Carillion Trainer's House proudly presents another first release for Zoo 2024. Aquarius +8, the first ever game that is controlled by the Commodore 1530 Datassette. Anyway, it was just kind of almost like a funny joke to get the game out, to release the game already with these trainers and everything. And there's a whole bunch of details there. So
Another visitor. Stay well. Stay for a day.
Press play on tape to play.
I actually don't know what that sample's from. It's obviously a variation on the Impossible Mission one, but okay, so you can run the game with unlimited Aquarius Kala ships. Yes. Do you want to use spacebar as play on tape? No, never. I would never do that. And if you happen to have sent Alexi a tip on Ko-fi, you're eligible to run some of these other trainers that are available. Of course, he's not really enforcing it, but, of course it would be nice if you don't buy the physical game. You might want to send Alexi a tip. All these creators, everybody who makes stuff, they're doing it for the love of it. But if you support them, that's an extra thing for them that, everybody likes to feel appreciated in that way. I'm sure if you even emailed him and just said thank you for the game, he would like that too. What happens if we say yes? Oh, thanks for the tip. Extra trainers now available. Oh, there's a skip stage. All kinds of cheats in there. I'm not going to show you the rest of them. You can figure that out for yourself. Okay, one more thing to look at here. It's funny that Alexi happened to release this game that uses the Datassette and the motor, the play button, just after I made that last video all about the Datassette and Location 1. How it's used to both read the Datassette, the buttons on it, and control the motor. And in that video, I showed it's ultimately up to the C64 to control the motor. Now, of course, Alexi was working on this game long before I released that video, and he was actually worried someone might use this idea of using the Datassette as a haptic controller feedback. He thought somebody might do that before his game got done, the way I kept, hyping up the use of Location 1. But anyway, of course, he did manage to be first. I don't think he was in any real danger of anybody using this idea. Okay, but Alexi shared some snippets of code with me. I asked him. Of course, there's tons of stuff that goes into a complicated game like this. And somebody can make video after video about all the different elements here, just as kind of a sequel or follow-up on that Location 1, just to see how Alexi used it in this particular game. This first slide is about the Datassette read button, and once per frame, code is called. So to read the play button, it's as simple as loading the accumulator from Location 1 and testing bit 4 with and 10 hex. The routine returns carry clear if the play button is not pressed and carry set if the key is pressed down. And that's all it takes to use the play button as a control. But you can see up above how he implements the sort of cheat or trainer mode that allows you to use the spacebar. But that's cheating. I won't do that. Okay, on this next slide, you can see the haptic patterns. This bit of code is for initializing the haptic patterns, which involves turning the tape motor on and off in pulses. So there's 3 different patterns you can see near the bottom: player explosion, dragging through seaweed, and when bombs or fireworks go off. Pattern 0 and 2 are actually the same as far as the on-off pattern. That's what each of those bits represent. But below, you can see that they have different lengths. Player explosion is the longest at 75 frames, which I guess would be 1.5 seconds on PAL, but only 1.25 seconds on NTSC, I think. Presumably there's no changes for that. You could potentially PAL or NTSC fix the haptic effects. The code above those definitions just chooses the appropriate pattern and stores them in the 2 appropriate memory locations for the effect pattern and the duration. There's also some code to disable the haptics if you're in that trainer cheat mode. Okay, and then this final bit of code actually makes the haptics happen. Essentially, each pattern is just a repeating series of 8 bits, ones or zeros, saying whether the motor should be on or off. Each bit represents on or off for one frame, so that would be 50 or 60 hertz that the motor is updated. But because each pattern has either 2 or 4 bits the same in a row, the haptic will happen at half or 1/4 that frequency, 25 or 30 hertz for the 2-bit patterns, and 12.5 or 15 hertz for the 4-bit patterns. So I think that seaweed dragging, which to me is the most noticeable effect, is happening way down at about 15 hertz. Unless I have my math wrong. I should have asked Alexi about this one. So every video frame, the pattern is loaded, and then an 8-bit rotate is done by doing an arithmetic shift left, that's the ASL opcode, to get the high bit into the carry, and then that carry is rotated left into the actual pattern byte. So you see, normally rotates on the 6502 are 9-bit as they rotate through carry. So this is a tight way, just one extra instruction, to turn that into an 8-bit rotate, so you get the bit and immediately goes back in on the rotate. Okay, then based on whether the carry is set or cleared after the rotate, the motor is turned either on or off, and that stays that way for the rest of the video frame. And that's just repeated over and over again to pulse the motor on and off. And you can see it turns the pulsing off once the effect is done. And up above, there's just essentially a counter counting down for, say, 75 video frames. And once it reaches 0, then it turns the pattern off again. And you can also see that Alexi has some conditional assembly code here for haptic debug, which flashes the border black or white to represent the tape motor being off or on. So just to give a visual feedback while he was debugging it. Now, of course, like I said, there's way more that went into making this game. It's got that beautiful smooth scrolling. The graphics are just gorgeous. They almost look like Amiga graphics to me sometimes. And of course, the fantastic music. But that's just a quick look at how the game uses location 1, just to follow up as we talked about in the last video. Okay, so thanks very much to Lexi for making this excellent game, for sending it, and for making it available to all of us. And thanks to my patrons for their support. Thank you for watching. I hope you give this game a try, and we'll talk to you next time.